Well, when Donald Trump took the oath of office, stocks were near all-time highs, boosted by hopes for deal-making and deregulation. 100 days later, the S&P 500 is down 8%, marking its worst performance during the first 100 days of a presidency since 1974, when Gerald Ford took over from Richard Nixon. But the pain isn't just limited to Wall Street. Consumer confidence dropping now for a fifth straight month in April, plunging nearly 8 points, as you see there. The Conference Board's index is now at its lowest level since the pandemic. And companies continue to sound the alarm in earnings reports. Just today, Kraft Heinz lowering its sales outlook, while General Motors actually pulled its annual forecast amid tariff uncertainty. Paul Krugman is a Nobel Prize-winning economist and a distinguished professor of economics at City University of New York, and he joins me now. Paul, it's great to have you with us. So when we look at this 100 days in, how would you characterize the start of Donald Trump's second term?
Well, it's certainly been extreme. I think, a lot of people try to analyze his campaign proposals, but there was a widespread sense that he would not go as far as what he was saying during the campaign. He's gone much further. The tariff policy has been leading the charge, and it's the most extreme tariff policy in U.S. history. I mean, we've just gone from nearly free trade to tariffs higher than the infamous Smoot-Hawley tariff of 1930 all at once. And this is an economy that is much more dependent on trade than it was back in 1930. So this is the biggest shock from trade policy in U.S. history. It's 10 times as big in terms of its impact as Smoot-Hawley. So this is incredible, and it's been a real problem. Business is not happy. The economy appears to be headed for certainly a slowdown, possibly a recession. Right away, we seem to be headed for a COVID-style supply shock from these tariffs. It's quite 100 days.
It is quite 100 days. I was struck the Wall Street Journal editorial board this morning saying, writing Trump 2.0 is in trouble, saying there needs to be a major reset. I mean, in some ways, we're seeing a reset. It feels like almost daily. It's not quite that often, but there's the mixed messaging, there's the chaos, the confusion, the uncertainty. As these policies shift and change, is there room for a full reset?
I think not. The uncertainty is as bad as the policies themselves. That's not just high tariffs, but tariffs that you don't know what there'll be next week. I mean, we had April 2nd, a huge rollout of tariffs, which were very extreme. And then a week later was, never mind, here's a different set of tariffs that are just as extreme in their own way. What will it be next month? What will it be 6 months from now? Very hard for businesses to plan on that basis. And the constant turmoil adds to the shock. I mean, normally tariffs aren't necessarily recessionary, but a tariff where you have no idea what the rate's going to be by the time an investment matures, that is recessionary.
When we look at this, you have a piece out talking about Trump's policies, noting that the new tagline, if you will, from Chinese diplomats is that Trump is a bully who can't be trusted. You say they're right.
Well, I mean, just ask the Canadians, ask the Japanese who sent a delegation to negotiate a deal, earnestly wanted to negotiate a deal, and finally left in disgust because they said the Americans won't tell us what they want. They keep on saying make us an offer, but they won't tell us what they want. So how does anybody make a deal with the current U.S. administration? I called him a godfather in reverse. He makes you an offer you can't accept.
When we look at this, then, we have heard from different officials today, including the president, that there could be a deal announced soon. Of course, would not be surprising if they wanted to announce a deal on this 100-day mark, potentially with India, as we're seeing. When we look at this, what would the impact be to having at least one deal in place?
Well, it might goose the markets for a little while, but that's India is not. It's a big important country, but it's not a major U.S. trade partner. It's not even clear what a deal would mean. But in a way, the big three or big four would be Canada, Mexico, China, and the European Union. And there's no hint of any motion there. And there's this weird thing where Trump officials say that they're in negotiations with China, and the Chinese say they aren't, that they're not talking to us at all. And I'm sorry to say that it's Trump said, she said. But I'm sorry to say that there's no reason to believe that the Americans are telling the truth. The Chinese seem much more credible on this, and it's just kind of pathetic, isn't it? We're saying
It's
that, no, we're negotiating with them, and they say, no, we aren't.
It is a remarkable moment in time, that is for sure. When we look at where things stand, it was also quite a moment to see the impact that the bond markets, for example, had on the president in terms of a shift in policy. Do you believe it's really are the markets the only thing that Donald Trump will really be, I don't know that rein in is the right phrase, but
Yeah.
is it really only the markets that will truly impact the direction?
Well, that, and I mean, he says he doesn't believe the polls, but I'm sure we know that he's watching them. So his plunging popularity has got to have some effect. And look, we're going to see some stuff. Never mind the bond markets. We're likely to see probably sharply rising prices of a lot of imported goods and even shortages. I mean, there have been very few ships arriving in West Coast ports from Asia in the last couple of weeks, which is going to translate into empty shelves across a lot of America just a few weeks from now. I think that will get the attention even of this White House.
We'll be watching. Paul, great to have you here. Thank you.
Great to be on.